Pressure testing gas lines for leaks requires following the International Fuel Gas Code's precise rules on test pressures, equipment, procedures, and valve positions to ensure safe, code-compliant results. The International Fuel Gas Code sets specific minimum and maximum test pressures depending on piping material and system type. So, first identify whether you are testing a new system, an altered section, or existing low-pressure distribution. For example, many metallic systems use test pressures of not less than 10 pounds per square inch gauge for leak tests, while plastic piping often requires lower, specified pressures. Always confirm the code table for the exact material. Use a calibrated gauge with a readable range at least 5 times the test pressure and an accuracy of plus or minus 1% of full scale. For low pressure work, prefer a compound gauge that reads from 0 to 30 pounds per square inch gauge to avoid parallax and ensure traceable calibration within the last year. Isolate the section under test by closing downstream appliances and valves as the code requires and cap or plug openings. Leave test cocks and drips in place so trapped air can be bled and liquid test media handled correctly. For pressurization, choose the approved test medium: air, inert gas, or an inert fluid as allowed. Never use an open flame or combustible source, and vent test medium to a safe outdoor location away from ignition sources. Hold the required test pressure for the full interval specified by the code, typically not less than 10 minutes for many installations, and record the starting and ending pressures. A pressure drop beyond the allowable limit mandates retesting after repair. When compaction, temperature change, or expected slow leakage can affect readings, perform a soap bubble or electronic leak detection sweep on joints and fittings while under test pressure for immediate localization of leaks. Document the procedure with test pressure, gauge serial number, test duration, and the name of the person performing the test. This documentation is often required by inspectors and useful if questions arise later. If pressure testing with air, consider adding a safety factor and never exceed the piping system design pressure. Consult the code for maximum test pressures for specific materials to avoid damage. One of the most common mistakes is using an improper gauge or an uncalibrated gauge, which causes inaccurate readings and failed inspections. Fix this by selecting a gauge with appropriate range and current calibration certificate and log its serial number in the report. One of the other frequent issues is incorrect valve positions or failure to isolate the test section, leading to false pressure loss. The fix is to follow the code pattern. Close downstream appliance shutoff valves. Open test cocks for venting, and cap service openings before pressurizing. One of the third mistakes is using an inappropriate test medium or exceeding maximum test pressure for the piping material, risking damage or dangerous conditions. Always cross-check the code table for permitted media and maximum pressures for the specific pipe material and confine tests to the specified duration. BigHomeProjects.com lists local licensed gas fitters and plumbing contractors who follow the International Fuel Gas Code, helping homeowners find vetted experts for pressure testing and repairs. The directory also helps contractors get work by connecting them with nearby projects that need certified code-compliant gas line testing and documentation.